What's up, YouTube? First, let me give a shout out to Bart and Clinton. Thanks. Now, let's talk a little Christopher Mitchell, a little John Scarne, and tell a gambling story. So we'll start with Arnold Rothstein, who was the head of the mob in the 1920s New York. And he ran the mob like a corporation. He mentored guys like Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky. And he also liked to gamble. He fixed the 1921 Travers Stakes. He fixed the 1919 World Series, the infamous Black Sox scandal. Say it ain't so, Joe. And he also would play poker. And so some hustlers thought they'd take down Rothstein. Yeah, you need a set of brass balls to do this. But the mastermind, Titanic Thompson. And Titanic Thompson could be a cold-blooded murderer if he wanted to be. He always carried a gun, high-stakes gambler, and, on occasion he'd get robbed, or at least attempted robbery. But you don't try to rob Titanic Thompson. 3 robbery attempts, 5 men dead. Now, my favorite Titanic Thompson story, he was shooting dice on a boat, playing craps, and he won a lot of money. And he even won the deed to the boat. So now he started hosting games on said boat. And a guy by the name of Jimmy J accused Titanic Thompson of cheating. You don't accuse Titanic Thompson of cheating on his own boat. But that wasn't good enough for Jimmy J. Throws him overboard. But guess what? Titanic Thompson gets back on that boat. Takes a hammer, smashes his buddy's skull, throws him overboard, and he drowns. The sheriff comes to investigate. And now the story gets told like this. It was self-defense. The man pulled a knife on Titanic Thompson, threatened his girl. And that's why he had to use the hammer. Titanic Thompson bribed the sheriff, gave him the deed to the boat, and split town. Titanic Thompson was a road gambler, liked to travel. So now Titanic Thompson is the mastermind behind a game that lasts 3 days involving Rothstein. And to divert suspicion, Titanic Thompson has nothing to do with the organization of the game. That's George McManus. George McManus sets up the game. And Nate Raymond, well, he's the takeoff man. He's the man who's going to win the majority of the money to divert suspicion from Titanic Thompson. And just so George looks all innocent, George is a minor loser in the game. But that money that he lost, got dumped to his partners. So now it's all good. At the end of 3 days, Rothstein owes a fortune, $319K to Nate Raymond, plus owes other players. He's in for $500K, majority going to Nate Raymond. But Nate is going to funnel that money back to Titanic Thompson. Titanic Thompson is getting the lion's share. Well, that's a fortune back, and this is 1928, so it's a fortune, and Rothstein needs some time. And then Titanic Thompson starts thinking that Rothstein's not going to pay, and that's a bad thought to put in Titanic Thompson's head. So he starts conspiring towards murder. Next thing you know, Rothstein's shot. He makes it to the hospital, but he dies in hospital. His last words, the cop asked him who did this. Rothstein said, "Your mother." Badass to the end. Only person charged in the murder, George McManus. The best part, the state's star witness, Titanic Thompson. Yeah, that's right. The fix is in even on the trial. So McManus is acquitted. No one is ever convicted of this crime. So now you know the players. Where does Scarne come in? Well, Scarne was a pathological liar, like Christopher Mitchell. And Scarne liked to drop dead names because the dead don't sue and they can't contradict your story. So Scarne said he did a demonstration for Rothstein. Rothstein, brand new unopened deck. Scarne had Rothstein shuffle, and Scarne cut the aces. So it's Rothstein's deck, it's brand new, Rothstein shuffle, and yet Scarne can somehow cut the aces. This is incredible. Scarne tells how he did it. Every card manipulator to this day, including Steve Forty, who's the real deal, the guy that Scarne pretended to be, he says it's not possible what he's saying. In other words, Steve Forty can't even duplicate the method Scarne gave. Scarne goes on TV later, and I think it was the Tom Snyder show, and he did a demonstration of ace cutting, and he used a crimp. Not this legendary method he said. Harry Lorraine said he witnessed firsthand Scarne cutting aces and said it was unimpressive. In other words, nothing to do with how he said. Now Christopher Mitchell, also a pathological liar. One of my favorite stories he told, he mentions a dead guy. Here's how this goes. He says he's walking through some parking garage with his wife. Some lady's hysterical in tears. Oh my God, it's Christopher Mitchell. And she tells this story to Christopher. And Christopher's crying, and his wife's crying. Yeah, it's the best. Tells this story. My husband she says, yeah, my husband was watching one of your videos, and she asked him to go get something for dinner or something like that. So Buddy pauses the video and leaves. Well, he doesn't come home because he dies in a fatal car crash. Oh, what a twist. The paused image of Christopher's face on the computer screen. The wife refuses to turn off the computer, and to this day, Christopher's face is on the computer screen. And Christopher's like trying to get his eyes all watery when he's telling the story. The story is complete fabrication. You know, you can use your poker skills in life. So some of the things people do when they're lying is they touch their mouth. He touches the mouth. They look to the right because they gotta confabulate something. They clear their throat. Throats get dry under stress. And what is the rapid eye blinks? He does the rapid eye blinks, does the throat clear, does all this stuff. The gulp. And then of course the tongue, always darting out of his mouth, sign of stress, like when you're telling lies. You can look all this stuff up because it's facts, bro. There's very common things people do when they lie. Scarne, let's compare him to Christopher. Did Scarne believe in the martingale? Well, guess it seems he did, because check out this ridiculous story. You gotta understand, Scarne's a high school dropout. Christopher is a high school dropout. These people are uneducated people, they don't know anything. So Scarne, in his day, got billed as the world's foremost expert on gambling, had a big publisher behind him, okay? That's how the public viewed him. When I did the demonstration of the Scarne cut, the reason I did that was, that little video clip I showed you, that was played in movie theaters, a primary source of entertainment back then. And it was the little featurette before the main feature. It was a 15-minute video. And he's saying erroneous things like the Scarne cut is foolproof, making people think they're safe if you do a Scarne cut. This simply is not true. The number one way you'll be cheated in a poker game would be collusion. Scarne cut cannot help you. Number two way would be marked cards. And the marked cards don't have to be brought in. Sometimes players do little tricks like glue a little piece of sandpaper to their finger and they sand the card. There's all kinds of tricks you can do on the fly. So it's not going to guard against marked cards. And then the third way is card manipulation. And cheats work in teams, like the story I just told you. So you pass the deck to the player on the right, who's your partner, and he gives it a Scarne cut, but it's manipulated. So it looks legit to average Joe from Kokomo, the suckers, but it's not. But they think, oh, we're safe. A Scarne cut was put into play. You can't have people give erroneous gambling advice because it costs people money. In the case of Christopher Mitchell, if you believe the stories, it cost people everything. All they had, their life savings, even their relationships, their wife, their kids. It's ridiculous. But these guys are poisoned because they're going to continuously give you erroneous information on gambling, because they're both high school dropouts, both guys who never gambled for a living. Christopher only pretends to gamble for a living. At least Scarne admitted he had never gambled for a living. But it's like, how can you be the world's foremost authority if you never gambled? So now we got one guy lying, the GOAT, and we got the other guy, the world's foremost authority. It makes no sense. But that's who these people are. So Scarne also believed in the martingale, because one of the stories in Scarne on casino gambling or something like that, whatever that book, encyclopedia, something like that, complete encyclopedia of casino gambling, something like that, I don't know. It's not worth reading, so I don't even know the title, but one of the stories in there is something like a casino manager called him, and a high roller was winning a lot of money. This takes place late 50s, and that guy is ahead about $400,000 for a lot of money in the 50s. And he's asking Scarne what the casino can do to prevent the guy from winning. And guess what the guy's playing? Roulette, okay? So Scarne looks at the guy's system, as told by the casino manager, and says, oh, here's the problem. And this is what Scarne said. He said the high roller wanted the maximum bet raised, and so it got raised. And in doing so, the minimum never got raised. And Scarne told the manager that was your problem, because now he's able to do 9 martingales. And that's why you're losing. If you set it the betting limit such that he can only do 6 martingales from the minimum to the maximum, then you're safe. This is the world's foremost authority on gambling. He knows not. It's a joke. You know what I'm saying? So same thing as Christopher. He believes in that nonsense. Let's look at something Scarne said, because Michael Shackelford defended him a little bit on his board one time, said, you know, most of the information in the book is correct. Well, you know what? As a professional gambler, sometimes most of the information, it does not matter if most of it's right. That little bit that's wrong can cost you all your winnings. Like the martingale, it mostly wins. But when it doesn't, it takes back all the money you won previously. Now, let me give you a gambling lesson that every beginner should know. But even people that play for years either fail to implement this or they're just ignorant of it. Let's take a look what Scarne said about poker, and I'll show you why his information is always dangerous, costing you money. In the game of poker, he said, you have to look at your pot. As an example, in Hold'em, let's say you've dealt the turn card already and you got a 4 flush, 2 of a suit in your hand and 2 on the board. There's 1 card to come. You must hit your suit or you will lose the hand, okay? Those are the parameters. There's $100 in the pot and your opponent bets 50 on the turn. So that's $150 total in the pot and it costs you 50, 150 to 50 odds. In other words, you must win 25% of the time. You must win 1 in 4 or greater. 1 in 4 would be even money, if that's the true odds. And if you get greater than 1 in 4, you're making money. Less than 1 in 4, you're losing money. So what Scarne says to do is to look at the math of the situation. And it turns out your chance of getting the flush is a little over 4 to 1. Okay? I'll explain really quickly how you figure that out. But in general, what you do is go to a table and look, what's your chance of getting a flush with 2 cards to come? What's your chance of getting a flush with 1 card to come? Just memorize it. But I'll teach you the math real quick. So there's 52 cards in the deck. You're holding 2, and there's 4 on the board. 6 cards. 52 minus 6, we got 46. Now, of those 46 cards, you have 9 winners because you have 2 of your suit on the board and 2 in your hand. That's 4 cards. There's 13 of a suit. 13 minus 4 is 9. You got 9 winners. So 46 minus the 9, you got 37 cards do not help you to 9 cards that do. So a little over 4 to 1. So if you're getting 3 to 1, you must fold. If you're getting 5 to 1, you would call. So in the Scarne example, it's 150 to 50. He just superficially says, oh, 150 to 50, 3 to 1. Well, you need more than 4 to 1, so fold. Well, that's not the right answer. The right answer is, can you make money on the river? Is there money to be left to be bet? And will your opponent pay if a scare card comes? Let's say he will, in fact, put in half the pot size on the river. So it would look like this. There was 150 in the pot. You added 50, so there's 200. He checks to you on the river when the scare card comes, and now you bet half pot of 100, which he'll call, because those were the parameters. That's why poker is judgment, not just math. So now there's 150 to be won plus his 100 on the river. That's 250 to 50. That's 5 to 1. It's a clear call if those are the parameters. But under Scarne, it's no, you fold. It's because he was never a professional gambler. You don't take advice about gambling from people who were never a professional gambler. They don't know shit. You understand? And that basically sums up Christopher Mitchell's knowledge of being a professional gambler, because he never was. Any money he shows on camera or shows gambling, it was given to him by the suckers paying for worthless PDFs, worthless join my inner circle, whatever, that worthless 3% book. They're all nonsense. He doesn't know anything about gambling or life. Stay away. Now you're in the know. We call smart bettors, we call them fast company. Now you're becoming fast company. Keep watching these videos.